All right, 1, 2. We are live, man. And this is, we are back, but this is our first official episode now on Spotify, the GYGB War Report Show. Just search GYGB or GYGB War Report. Will come up. Follow us. We made it. I am your co-host, Roberto Flag. I think we're going to be joined by R.O. Diggity soon. It might just be me tonight, but boxing is back, man. I mean, obviously, it's been a while since we've been back doing a video, really a show. Needless to say, a lot has happened between the coronavirus, between the protesting, the death of George Floyd, and we wanted to try to set up a kind of a roundtable as a concern that, because I mean, it does transcend boxing, but us here at GYGB, we were all affected by this, man. And I think we got R.O. Diggity on the line. Hold up one sec.
Yo, sorry about that.
You there, R.O. Diggity? Oh, all right, here we go. R.O. Diggity in the building. What's popping, man?
Oh, ain't nothing, man. Sorry about that. I was actually it's going funny. I lost track of time. I was waiting for you to send your stuff, and then I just started watching for the 19,000th time because I hooked my Disney Channel up.
Oh,
I was watching In-Game because I wanted to see how it looked.
Oh, okay. Word. So yo, man. I mean, I wanted to. I mean, because I'd like to get Train on here. I mean, so much has happened since we had our last show. Obviously everything going on, man. I really wanted to have like a roundtable with everybody, but I mean, there's so much to talk about. I mean, outside of boxing, but at the very least, man, we're back. Boxing is back in a way, sorta. We had boxing last night. As I'm speaking right now, we got the Magdaleno Vicente fight that's coming up. But just I guess, I mean, again, like I want to speak on everything that's going on. I obviously outside of boxing, but I'd love to have Train on here and just really have a show dedicated to that. So I really don't want to like just give a small 2 cents of it. I mean, this is something that deserves like a full show. So obviously it's something we are all still experiencing, and all of us, so we definitely not downplaying it, but at the very least, man, we're trying to, we're boxing aficionados. The heads have been waiting for a show. There's boxing to talk about, man. So I guess on a lighter note, I mean, let's just jump right into it, man. Let's talk about what we were talking about, earlier today, man. Speaking of the fights last night, we had boxing return courtesy of Top Rank. Not last night, I'm sorry, Tuesday night. Shakur Stevenson returns, gets a knockout win with a body shot over Felix Caraballo. So just give me your 2 cents on that, man. I mean, we've been talking about Shakur, but like, what was your take on his performance? You there, Al Diggity? Oh, I think he bounced out. Well, until ROD gets back. I mean, listen, man.
Nah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was talking the whole time. Yeah, I was saying that, one of the things we found out yesterday, you ever go and watch a college player and you wonder if those skills are transferable in the pros?
Yeah.
And, I remember people were saying that about Michael Jordan. They was, with Dean Smith, they would say, how appropriate we're talking about this because of The Last Dance. They would say, if the only person that could really stop Michael Jordan was Dean Smith because he had a system, and in that system, which was collegiate, what he transformed into this like great player. And there's some people that we see that are in college, they're great scorers, and they wind up being bad pros. Shakur Stevenson, fortunately rather, he's showing that a lot of those skills we saw in the Olympics are very much transferable.
Mhm.
He's not Olympic style boxing. He's very strategic in his intent, man, and those skills are very much transferable, man. And I like what I saw. Like everything that I saw with Shakur, you know, from his professionalism to his ring generalship to the way he controls the floor, I mean the ring rather,
Mhm.
and the way he uses angles. Now, granted, some people may say, well, you know, let's look at his opponent. His opponent probably wasn't the best measuring stick. And
Right.
I would say, okay, that's fine. You know, let's not, again, I'm not going to badger him for his opponent per se. The only thing I'm going to badger or get kind of like ridiculous about today with him is, you know, I saw the Floyd and Sweet Pea comparisons, and I'm
Yeah,
saying, you know
yeah.
what, and I'm going to say, you know, shout out to Floyd though for his sentiments. I know a lot of people get mad at him for doing a lot of goofy things on in general, and he's had a rough year himself. But you know, he had a very nice gesture to the Floyd family. No pun
Yeah,
intended. And
right.
I don't want that to go on deaf ears, but I don't want people to get it misconstrued because I want people to understand why we say, and this is not about Floyd, but why it's unfair to compare these people to Floyd. Floyd Mayweather at 21 years old fought Chiquinito Hernandez. God rest his soul. And people thought that Floyd Mayweather was too young, too green, and he was going to lose.
Right.
He was very like, honestly, on paper, Floyd should have probably lost that fight. Um, but Shakur Stevenson has not fought a Chiquinito Hernandez at 21. Does that make sense?
No, you're
So
right. Yeah, you're right.
so like we can't go and say, well, this guy is this, he's gonna be better than Floyd. I mean, like he is the best Shakur Stevenson. That's what I want to get at. He's very, very good. He
Yeah.
showed some flashes of Floyd Mayweather. He showed some flashes of Andre Ward. He showed some flashes of Bud Crawford. He showed some Sweet Pea. But again, he let's not compare him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's good to like they got this term. It's called case, copy and steal everything. You know, when you're in business, you kind of like see something and you're like, you know what? Like I'm a case what Roberto did. You know, because it's a form of flattery. You know, like I'm not going to
Right.
reinvent the wheel. This is what you've done, and I think he did a great job of casing, if you will, in air quotes, making himself look, you know, copy and stealing everything to making himself look like the best Shakur Stevenson. He has a piece of everything, but for us to compare him to Floyd Mayweather right now, man, is kind of injustice because of what Floyd has done.
Yeah.
We ain't talking about Conor McGregor. We talking about Pretty Boy. Like Pretty Boy was a killer. Like people forget about that. That 135, 130, that Floyd was a killer.
Yeah.
So 21, he fought Chiquinito Hernandez. He was supposed to lose that fight. He fought Diego Corrales. He's supposed to lose that fight. Like, so I just want to put that there. But, you know, all in all, Shakur Stevenson looked very, very, very good, polished, and I was very impressed with what I saw. And I think he's going to be champion for a very long time.
Yeah, I agree, man. And you know, we talked about it yesterday. I mean, when you think about the young guys that are there right now, you know, you got the Devin Haney's, you have the Ryan Garcias. I mean, I guess the thing Tank can kind of be put in. He's a little older than them, but he's kind of like around that bunch. You know, they're all 22 to 26 years old. Other young guys, I don't know, like Regis Prograis and some of these are all Teofimo Lopez. These are all guys that are going to be there, like in the next 10 years, you know. And when I look at everybody, at least on the come up, you know, Teofimo, like, I mean, he's already hopping into a fight with Lomachenko, but Shakur, to me, out of a lot of those guys, seems to be progressing the best as far as just the stuff that we see that he's doing. You know, he looks like his manpower is starting to come in. And mind you, this fight was 130 pounds, and again, like Felix Caraballo is not like a world elite level fighter, but it's like, you know, we like to term the eye test right here at GYGB, and I think Shakur is passing the eye test. But to your point, ROD, I think we're at a point right now where we, you know, like you mentioned, Floyd fighting, you know, Janero Hernandez and Diego Corrales. Like I think before he was even 24 years old. I don't think those kind of fights are there for Shakur per se, but like they were even mentioning like Miguel Burchell, who's a world champion at 130. You know, like that at that point you're starting to like see what you got with Shakur, and you know, some might say that might be a little too early, but I mean, I don't know, man. Like I from what I see with Shakur, man, he's doing a lot of good things more so than really bad things, and he understands at this age, like he understands distance, and you think you mentioned it, like he just knows where to be, and to be out of danger while still, you know, being a little more aggressive than, like, you know, like you said, like having, you know, coming from the Olympics. And some fighters have that trouble of transitioning into the pros, and it seems like Shakur's really adjusting to it. And yeah, he's training with Terrence Crawford, Andre Ward's your manager, you know, and you're working with all these people. It makes sense why he's progressing the way he is, man. So I think now it's just, does he go back to featherweight? Does he stay at 130? Where are the better fights? Because somebody mentioned to me today, like, why doesn't he try to get a fight with Gary Russell at featherweight? But, you know, my thing is, like, I don't know if that'd be a fight that Gary Russell would want to take. Because
let me tell you something, man. I'm gonna tell you something. Listen, and I mean this, and I really mean this. You know, I'm gonna get killed for this. Let's leave Gary Russell alone for a second. Does that make sense? You know, I think, and here's the reason why people are going to disagree with me. Gary Russell could wind up being Shakur Stevenson's chop chop, or
yeah,
he could wind up being his Emmanuel Augustus. Does that make sense?
no, yeah, yeah.
And what I mean by that is, again, not the Floyd comparison, but like, if like, let's just, he could wind up making, instead of him looking great, he could wind up being challenged to the point where, honestly, like, for me, there's really history, and there's some something to be made rather with Tank and, like, you know, the other guys, man. And I think he has the frame for that. I would personally, like, I don't see the need to go down the Gary Russell street. That's just me, man. Like, I don't too much. I'm not saying Shakur can't handle it. I'm just saying, like, let's take the words of Earl Spence. They asked Earl Spence, you know, Terrence Crawford asked him, well, why are you fighting Sean Porter? He was like, what's the easiest way to go get a belt? You know what I mean? Is it for me to go to you or go to Sean Porter? So again, it's not ducking, but like, I feel like he, like, if you looked at his body, man, he about to outgrow that division. I really just feel like he could just,
and that right, and I'm making that point too. But like, I'm saying, even from the perspective of Gary Russell, like, yeah, I think from Gary Russell's perspective, like, I don't think if he had the choice between Tank, and you said, like, between Tank, Santa Cruz, or Shakur, like, he's going to go for the other two, because it's just, they're bigger money fights. You know what I'm saying? And he's been around, you know, with Shakur, at least right now, it's kind of like the risk reward doesn't match. Where with Tank, Gary Russell's, like, I mean, think about it, the last big fight he was in was like Lomachenko, right? If I'm not mistaken. So it's like, it's been a while since he's been in a big fight. And listen, man, we all know he's been, I mean, the interviews are out there, as far as, like, you know, he was the phone call with Floyd, and you know, Gary Russell's a real dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's about his business. It's just with him, he's another guy, man, that he's just been so inactive, and you tend to forget about him. You know, even like the hardcore fans, like, people will bring, oh yeah, Gary, what about Gary Russell? I was like, oh man, that's right.
let me tell you something. He would be a very, 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 like, let me tell you something. I would watch that fight. It's not that I wouldn't. I would definitely watch it. The problem I have with it, though, is, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes, and I'm
you think it's
trying
a
to
bad
think
style matchup for? So you're saying it's a bad style matchup for Shakur?
I'm not even, and I don't want to say that he can't beat him. I just feel like you know, I just feel like, you know, at this point, man, like, some people can play party pooper, man, and spoiler.
Oh yeah, that goes without saying.
Man. And it's not like I don't want people to understand. It's not like when we looked at, and I watched this over and over again, like with Vargas. See, like, Vargas, man, we love Vargas on this show. But what wind up happening, man, like with him, they threw him in with Trinidad too early, man, way too early. And I'm not saying that Gary Russell is Trinidad either, but I feel like sometimes, man, we try to rush these guys and be like, okay, play this. We try to rush these guys. Not saying he can't be rushed. We'll try to throw him in, thinking that this guy is kind of washed a little bit because we haven't seen him in a while. And all of a sudden, he wound up having the night of his life, scoring like 50 points and like breaking every record in the book. And we like, yo, like, where was this?
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, let's see what Gary Russell looked like a little bit. But honestly, personally, for me, I think this is just me. I think he should be on a run for Tank. Like that's just me, man. There's something there. Like I feel like, I don't know what Tank is gonna do, like if he's moving, where he's gonna go.
Are you saying for Shakur to go after Tank or for Gary Russell to go after Tank?
I think Gary Russell should go after Tank.
Yeah. That's the one. That's the fight he's been calling for, man. But that's why I was alluding to the phone call that apparently, if you guys haven't seen the interview, there's an interview that Gary Russell gives. I think it was sometime last year, where he made mention that he wanted the Tank fight, and Floyd called him, and something along the lines where like he was saying Floyd was trying to push him around, and like he was kind of like not falling for it. And I don't know, like I would like to see that. Obviously Gary Russell will have to move up. There's just a lot of question marks with Tank. I mean, we've all talked about it, man. I mean, he's gonna fight Santa Cruz, but how is he gonna make 130? Okay, he barely made 135 for Gamboa. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, if I'm Gary Russell, I'm trying to get that Tank fight. I'm trying to land that Santa Cruz fight. And he's been trying to fight Santa Cruz for how long? Like 2 years when they were both champions at the weight. So he's one of these guys, man, that he's had one opportunity against Lomachenko, but like beyond that, man, he really hasn't had like this big breakout fight against like anything higher than Lomachenko since that loss. So he's in a tough bind, man. And again, like we're all sitting here wondering when boxing is going to resume. But that's the only thing we've heard. Real Tank is one of the fights against Santa Cruz, and then Spence and Danny. But beyond that, man, like it's really like a big uncertainty,
Let me ask you this real fast. Okay. So let's just connect some dots real fast, because they seem like, if you think about it, they're all around the corner from each other. Meaning, we talk like about the tri-state area.
Yeah.
We talk about the tri-state area, and I don't know how it is in Florida, but we talk about how it is in the tri-state area, where Delaware, New Jersey, and PA kind of all touch each other in a sense. That's why they call it the tri-state area. Right. And I feel like that's how Gary Russell, Shakur, and Haney are, because like Gary Russell, Shakur, Haney, and even like Tank for the most part. It seems like they're so far away, but yet close. If that makes any sense.
No, they are.
So
yeah.
So I guess my question is, let's play connect the dots here. If okay, let's just say, what if, based off of weight? So Haney right now could fight Telefimo, or he could fight Lomachenko. They're all in the same division, correct?
Right.
Okay. Gary Russell logistically could fight Shakur Stevenson because he's in the same division.
Right.
Okay. You and I both know that Tank probably, no offense to all the Tank fans, but Tank is probably at a light heavyweight right now. So where do you, and Tank has been like fighting these goofy, where is Tank? Like, where is him? If we connect the dots, where would he be?
I mean, he's right now, the Santa Cruz fight is going to be at 130 pounds. So,
okay. So who weight class that is?
That's the thing is Tank, and not his last fight, but the fight before, he fought at 130. Then his next fight was 135.
Exactly. And he came in overweight in one of those fights, right?
Yeah, right.
So, like, what is his weight class? That's what I'm asking you.
He's right now competing at 130, as far as I know, is going forward. But I think they're chasing fights because the only fight, and you know what, at 130, is Santa Cruz a champion? Yeah, he is. He won a vacant title. That's why they're going there. Because if he goes to 135, he only has two people that he can fight for a world title: Teofimo Lopez or Vasily Lomachenko. And honestly, I don't like his chances in any of those fights.
Neither do I. So, like, that's what I'm saying. So, like, is it realistic that he can fight based off what we're seeing and based off the fact that, based off what you just said and based off the fact that when we see him, we know that he's not going, like, we don't know what weight class he's in. We know he's not going to fight the best comp up there. But we also know that he's not, we're trying to figure out what weight class he really is in. And I understand about this Leo saying, I understand that. Where is he? Like, what?
I think he's a 130 pounder at this point, man. And until further notice, and or if he comes to the fight and he barely makes weight, then it's really. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, he's really an enigma, man. Like here's a funny part. He's a 2-time world champion at 130 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't think he's had any more than 2 or 3 title defenses, if at that. Because remember, he got stripped of the title once because he couldn't make weight.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like we this is what I'm saying, and this is what I mean. Like, he's going to wind up being in a situation where, unless he's trying, I mean, he can't even move up. I mean, he was saying some dumb stuff about Terrence Crawford. He can't even. I mean, he can't even go to 140. He can't even go to 140. He get killed.
He'll get killed at 140. When you go to 140, you're fighting welterweights. Like, essentially, you're fighting welterweights.
Right. All right. So let me ask you this: can Tank beat Jamal Herring?
See, I don't think so, man. Jamal Herring, like, again, Tank isn't even a lightweight, and Jamal Herring is a good junior welterweight who, tit for tat, can maybe fight a welterweight. Maybe not against the top elite level, but listen, yo, we saw what happened with Broner when he went up in weight too quick, and it's just. With Tank, we don't want to I don't want to compare him to Broner, but he's just displaying a lot of the things that I saw with Broner, like not taking the your weight cut serious, not taking your training serious, and again, the Gamboa that he fought is not the Gamboa that Terrence Crawford fought 5 years prior. Okay, it's night and day. Imagine those first 4 rounds. Take that Gamboa and put him in that Tank fight. What do you think happens? It's not the same fight, man. It's not the same fight. So I'm convinced he's not a lightweight. And think about this: like, would you pick Tank to beat Richard Commey? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, the reason why, listen, let me tell you something. I always say, once you've been knocked out, you got the propensity of being knocked out again. And what Teofimo caught him with, man, was just really medieval. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I got to see how, like, Tank ain't the right person that you want to jump in with right after that. Because one thing we know, he can crack. So I don't know. But here's the question. So Jamel Herring is I think a super featherweight.
Really? I think he's a junior welterweight. Jamal Herring?
No, Jamel. Let me look at it again. Let me look at it again. Hang on.
I'm pretty positive he's a junior welterweight. Hold up. Oh no, you're right. Yeah, he is a junior lightweight. Why did I think he was a? You know who I'm confusing him with? Yeah, he's a 130, 135.
Right. So can he beat him? That's my point. Can Tank beat him?
Oh, he is a lightweight. Yeah, he's 5'10". Yeah, he's a junior welterweight now. He's again another.
They got him at 5. Got him as a featherweight. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think he's starting to fight at. Hold on. Oh no, yeah, he is a 130 pounder because he just fought Lamont Roach not too long ago. So yeah, who am I confusing him with? I'm confusing him with somebody else. But the thing is, man, it's like with Tank, I think they're trying to put him in big fights. You know.
Okay, hold that. They got Tank at super featherweight.
Okay, so yeah, right. So he's a 130 pounder.
So my point is, you don't think Shakur can make that?
No, he can. Shakur can make 130. Like that.
Right. Because he Shakur, just so we know, we understand. People understand how tall Shakur is?
Yeah, Shakur's not that big. I don't think he is.
He got him at 5'8".
Is he? Okay.
They got him at 5. I'm not saying he's 6 foot, but for that division, it's pretty big.
Yeah. Tank is small. Like Tank's a small dude.
He's very small, man. But again, not to steal your thunder, but we're here to celebrate Shakur Steven, and obviously we're here to celebrate how brilliant of a performance he put on, man. But like when we start playing, like I said, the tri-state area where you have New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, or you have Philly, Delaware, New Jersey, it's sort of like, okay, well, who's his tri-state area? And that's what I was trying to get at, because we know that people are trying to wait for. I hate to say this, man. It seems like people are trying to wait for Lomachenko to kind of like show some kinks in his armor, or whatever they're trying to do with him. Then you have like people with Devin Haney. We're trying to figure out what he's going to do. And then you got Shakur, and then we got Tank. Tank is just kind of like a hyena right now. Like hyenas don't really like. They attacking like packs, but they really don't really a vulture. He's just waiting till like somebody gets killed, and he's just gonna go and like pick the scraps up off him, man. He's not really trying to go after live kill, if you will. Like he could be a killer, but he's like trying to go after like dead scraps on the road.
But you know what though, man? He doesn't have a lot of guys that are like kind of like the joke we were making, No Country for Old Men. He don't got a lot of those guys, man, because we're all going by the assumption that Lomachenko is going to fall off in a year. What if he doesn't? What if he goes another 2-3 years and he's okay? Like maybe not like super prime, but we don't know how steep like his downfall is gonna be. Everybody's is different, like Triple G's seems like it's that steep, but I don't know. Like he's been in tough fights, but he hasn't been in wars per se. If anything's gonna go, like the twitch muscles, the timing, but it's like we have yet to see that really like being like, let me rephrase, like being a consistent thing where we're seeing it fight after fight after fight. We're like, okay, yeah, this guy doesn't look the same. With Lomachenko, that's why I'm still like, I like the Teofimo Lopez fight, but I'm not like one of these people that's just saying, oh, well, Teofimo's too young, too strong. I'm like, yo, like this is like light years of competition he's about to face. We've seen Lomachenko in tough fights. So I don't know, man. I mean, because like just let's just remove Lomachenko from the equation, and he doesn't get old overnight or whatever. Like, what is Tank's biggest fight? Let's say you beat Santa Cruz. What's next? Like, what's your next biggest fight?
I don't know, because here's the thing. Where is he campaigning? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
I think at 130, if he beats Santa Cruz, I don't think, because like I said, like the next fight is going to be Lomachenko and Teofimo. The winner of that fight has all the belts. Is the undisputed lightweight champion. So there's not a lot of wiggle room for him to go back to lightweight and say, okay, let me campaign here. Let me fight this guy and that guy, and then fight the for all the belts. I think they're going to position themselves where they can be champion in the division, and then they want to try to make Tank a star, man. But like, I just don't like. I don't think that there's any fights there that are gonna make him a star, because you and I know, man, like the fights are what make you this star. Like if you were to fight Lomachenko and beat him, he becomes a star. I'll even go further. This whole thing with Crawford and Spence, I'm of the belief that fights will never be like a De La Hoya Trinidad type of money or anything like that. I think the winner of that fight gets that kind of money going forward, and I think that's what's missing in boxing. there's got the risk reward factor still exists, man. It's just these guys don't want to take it. If I'll say this, if Teofimo like gives Lomachenko a tough fight, but Lomachenko still wins, and Tank goes on like a fight or two, like, you know, where he gets knockout wins, like at what point, if you're Floyd, do you just give him the opportunity, like, yo, like, go for it? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's only so long you can wait before like that win becomes kind of diminished, let alone like how big of a fight is that ever really gonna be, you know, with Lomachenko ain't gonna be a pay-per-view star. So I don't know, man.
He
Like,
could be.
I don't know.
He could listen. He could be, and the reason why I say that is, you know, I mean, I had like, you know, Lomachenko, man. If the right people want to fight him, he could do it. It could happen, but you know, it's a shame because he's fallen in that umbrella with Tank, unfortunately. Not Tank, with Terrence Crawford, where
Yeah.
it seems like a lot of people are just trying to wait him out.
Yeah.
You know, and there people are using the wrong side of the street analogy to keep him kind of like at bay. And it's like, no, like, you know, you guys like couldn't afford to fight him. It could be done if you really want it to be done. I mean, you know,
Right.
we're seeing it with Tyson Fury and the likes of those things. So
Right.
obviously there has to be a willingness, and you know that risk reward, you know, comes in. That's what really makes you that pay-per-view star. Obviously, it's careful matchmaking, but really what makes you that star is that you taking that risk reward.
Right.
You saying, you know what, like I'll take it. You know, like as bad as like it's funny. Check this out. I'll give you two examples. Look at Regis, right? Now I'm not saying that, and I want people to follow me. Regis is probably already good, but Regis gained more fans, all right, by stepping out of his comfort zone, even though he lost.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like he put himself out there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it on like a pay-per-view card in the future, not as a main event, but like
Or
if he
becomes a
makes
champion still. Yeah.
right, exactly, because he put out there, he gave a good account for himself.
Right. Right.
Look at where things went. Now the other thing is, believe it or not, you know, look at okay, I'll give you two more examples. We saw what Canelo did to Kovalov, right?
Yeah.
And this may be a bad example, but it's pay per view. But no one's looking for Kovalov to fight again because he didn't give like a great. It wasn't a great fight. Like it just unraveled. You know what I mean? Now look at Deontay Wilder. Like that first fight gained that second fight. So my point is, and even if people thought he lost, there was still interest in seeing that fight. And I feel like if Tank, whether he wins or lose, he should put himself out there with Lomachenko. And that fight may be good. It's a clash of styles, but by just waiting, you know, it
Right.
doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything for anybody. And then on top of that, not only you're waiting, but we really don't know where you're campaigning. So it makes it really difficult for us to really build that triangle as to who could be next in your line of fire.
Yeah.
We just
Right.
know you kind of like floating around a little bit saying, I live at these different addresses, but I really don't have a home. So I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but it doesn't really like, it doesn't like, where does, like, honestly, what major belt does he have in any of these
He's
divisions?
the WBA champion. He's the
Of
official WBA champion.
what division?
130.
You sure about that?
Yeah. He won the vacant WBA. Oh no. No. He's the WBA super featherweight champion, meaning he's like the main holder of the WBA title. He beat Gamboa for the WBA regular lightweight title, again with all these different titles and things of that nature, but he's the legit WBA super featherweight champion.
We had Santa Cruz as the WBA champion in both of those divisions that we're talking about.
He's Santa Cruz.
Leah Santa Cruz is the WBA champion, I think, for both of those divisions. that we're talking about. He's a WBA champion for the division that Gary Russell and Shakur is in, and he's a champion for the division above that, if I'm not mistaken.
He's the regular one the vacant WBA super. See, this is again this is boxing in the modern era. Okay, they have both Leo Santa Cruz and Tank as the same champion, the WBA super featherweight champion. So again, man, like it's like what do we go by these days? So
he has no exclusive. That's my point. He has no exclusiveness to any division. So, like, does he have an interest in unifying anything, or is he saying,
I mean,
I'm such a pay-per-view star that I don't need belts?
I mean, my thing is you could have fought Miguel Burchelt at any time, the WBC champion. Never wanted to fight him for whatever reason. I mean, he's tied to Top Rank and what have you, but it's again, like to your point, some of these guys just have to fight like their contemporaries at their time. And you brought up Floyd and Genaro Hernandez, and I won't even count that fight. Let's go to the Diego Corrales fight. That is a fight of two guys and his contemporaries. Jose Luis Castillo, a contemporary. Chop Chop Corley, a contemporary. Like guys that are there. You know what I mean? Like other champions, other guys, and I just think it's like it might be a thing where they just know what they have with Tank and they're just matching them very, very well. But there's not a lot of room for Tank to, if again, in the understanding that you want him to be a star, you're trying to breed him to be a star, you have to be beating like the upper echelon. And look, for whatever it's worth, people will criticize Mike, fighting, in the heavyweight era that wasn't like filled with, killers like it was in the 70s. But at the very least, man, he fought the top, whoever the champions were.
Man, listen, we can't. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, we can't fault people who their era. Like, you can't say to me, you can't say to me, if I go to you, you show me a picture of your dad and he had a fly Mercedes. I'm like, yo, man, that joint was crap. You like, dang, man, well, that was what was popping back then. That Mercedes, that's what was popping back then. And I'm sitting here with like a Tesla that's walking and talking for me. Like I can't say that. And what I'm saying is I want people to understand that, like, before we poo-poo on Mike, let's talk about the impact, that he had not only on the culture of boxing. He made boxing more mainstream. He made it more popular. I'm not saying that Ali didn't, but remember, he passed that. He handled that torch pretty well. He was on Time. He was on a bunch of magazines, man. And then on top of that, let's be honest. He had some huge pay-per-view fights. So now, yeah, he lost to Buster Douglas. All right, I'll give you that. Okay, so, but let's be honest. He fought whatever that division had to offer. And to be honest, he was supporting people. I want people to understand that. This is why I tell people, be careful with the spoilers that you fight. He fought Buster Douglas before that fight. I want everybody to know he was like after that fight, it was a foregone conclusion. He was supposed to fight Holyfield.
Holyfield right after. Yep.
Right. So, and Holyfield just moved up from cruiserweight to heavyweight. So It wasn't like he was ducking anybody. He cleared that division out. So I'm saying this to say, and Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis are buried there. So I'm saying this to say this. Number one, that's why I said I don't want Shakur to fight Gary Russell, because I don't want him to have some old crazy night where he catch lightning in a bottle, because he has that type of style to do that. And he's hungry right now. And I think that he could do it, but it's like, all right, I want you to do it on somebody else, and then maybe Shakur see you afterwards. But number two is when we talk about these champions and how, like you said, people say, he's not good, or Floyd ducked this, Floyd ducked that. Like, listen, Floyd did enough in his early part of his resume to really warrant who he could pick and choose. I want people to understand that. Number two, Mike fought everybody in that division and cleaned it out and unified all the belts. Like, whoever the champion was, Mike went after him.
Right.
Tank's not doing either one of them. He's not going after and unifying any belts, and he did not earn, to me, he did not go on a seek and destroy mission like Floyd did early in his career to warrant the pay-per-view stuff. So
Right.
to me, this is why, I know I went all around the house to get to the kitchen, but I'm just saying those are the two scenarios, and those what when people mention Tyson, I want people to understand that while y'all say, oh, he fought weak comp, the cat unified the whole division. Like, what else do you want him to do? Like, he
No.
unified the
Yeah.
division. So until Tank does something like that, or until Tank does what his mentor has done, Floyd, and start taking some very good risk
Yeah.
at early in his career, I'm going to say, you know what, like I'm just going to say he's just doing careful matchmaking, and just like he did before, he's going to kick and scream every time you put him in front of somebody that has a pulse.
Yeah. I agree 100%, man. And to segue into the heavyweights, and then we'll wrap up the show with this subject. We got news today that it won't be next, but a deal has been struck between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury to unify the heavyweight championship in 2021. Eddie Hearn made the announcement today. Tyson Fury, he confirmed and basically said, man, the ink isn't dry. The ink hasn't even been applied just yet. But the understanding is we're going to get Wilder Fury 3. Bob Arum is saying that they're looking to have the fight outside the United States again amidst the pandemic. Still a lot of uncertainty. There's still a lot of uncertainty, really. I mean, with the PBC and DAZN in general, being that Top Rank seems like to be the only outfit that has been putting on fights, at least right now. But it's kind of crickets with the other, the other cohorts. We've heard Danny Spence, and then we were talking about Tank Davis and Leo Santa Cruz, which they said is going to be on Showtime. That won't be Fox, but they're agreeing upon it. The financial terms have been, they haven't disclosed the full, this fight again before the pandemic. You would have had to have thought that they could fill a 100,000 seat stadium and it would have been filled because it's an all British affair. For the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. I don't recall the last time that at this level. I mean, Lennox Lewis, he came over to the United States. He wanted to make his splash over here, but that fight would be over there. But the whole thing with the pandemic, when does that fight happen? I mean, we still got to get, past Wilder Fury 3, which, Fury should be a heavy favorite in that fight. But again,
when are they supposed to fight?
Say it again.
When is Wilder and Fury supposed to fight?
Just
Like,
saying
I'm asking that.
December.
All right. So, okay, keep going. So, just so we know that, so let's put that there. December, they're going to fight.
Yeah, they were supposed to have the rematch in July, the rubber match. I wouldn't even say it's a rubber match because Wilder didn't win the first one, but the third fight was supposed to take place July 18th. Obviously, the pandemic hit, and they're trying to apparently they're trying to secure places like Australia. I mean, the thing is, Vegas is allowing fights now. I mean, they have sanctioned some UFC fights, so I can't imagine that Vegas won't be an option. But I think they want to try to get the crowds out there because the problem, just like I think what we're going to see, or what I'm interested to see with these high-level fighters, whether it's Bud, Errol Spence, Danny, all these guys, is, these guys' purses are obviously a lot bigger than some of the the other fighters, and without any fans and the pay-per-view being kind of sketchy, it's like you're interested to see like how they're gonna really pull this off if there's no fans. So I don't know. December comes around, the fight goes on. Let's just say Fury wins again. I think the stage is set for a monster event. It's just really upon the discretion of like how how is the world really? I mean, we talk about the United States because I mean, we're all dealing with it here. The crew, but outside, whether it's the UK, whether it's Asia, I mean, everybody's dealing with this. So it's really an international thing. And if by January, February, they start to, the crowds start to open up, I mean, we're going to be experiencing football here in the next several months as it concerns like how they're going to deal with that and the crowds. That's going to be interesting. But there's just a lot of question marks, man. But at the very least, this was a fight that we all kind of thought would happen. But the fact that they've already come together and they're agreeing upon it, like, I'll be watching.
It's a step. It's a huge step, in the right direction, man. And it just goes to show you, man, when you have a willingness to make a fight,
It happens, right?
it happens. Let's not use, Al Heyman on the other side of the street as these excuses anymore, man. Like when we want to get things in motion, man, they happen, man. And it's just all about a willingness, man. And guys have been, you'd be surprised, man, how many like, and I don't want to, with this racial climate, I don't want to, say too much, but you'd be surprised how many people cross enemy lines to do business because that green is what talks a lot. You know what I mean? So you'd be surprised, man. Like, you can have the they always say if you really hate somebody, the best thing you can do is sell them something. So like,
that's
so like, when you think about it, man, if you could be in a situation where you can make a business deal happen where you're both seeing green. Look at Oscar and freaking Floyd. They hated each other. They did business together. So I mean, I just feel like these things can be done. That other side of the street is just an imaginary brick wall. But I'm happy for those guys because they're showing us that, that the best can fight the best, at these points in time, man. And, unfortunately, we're still waiting for the Andrades of the world, Demetrius Andrade. We're waiting for even Canelo's, like, another big fight for Canelo. We're waiting for, Caleb Plant to fight somebody like Benavidez. We're waiting for Earl Spence to fight Terrence Crawford. We're waiting for Tank to fight.
There's fights there, man. They just gotta make them, man. They just
make them. And don't give me this marinating stuff, man. Like, the time is now, man. Because at the time y'all fight, these cats are like, let's be honest, these cats will be 40 years old. Nobody wants to see them fight at that point in time. So I just give props to Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, man. Even though the heavyweight championship is not going to be in the United States, I will be watching because I like to see competition. I like to see the best people fight.
Right, and that's the thing, man. And I think in this era too that we've gotten so the sport, the fanship of the sport has gotten like so convoluted, man. As it concerns just these people that they want to side with like promotions and with like networks and clicks like that. And I'm like, yo, this is a sport. There should be no reason why anybody should be saying, oh, well, Crawford and Spence shouldn't happen because Crawford's supposed to fight this and that guy. Like, I came from the era, man, where he's a champion. He's a champion. He wants to fight you. He wants to fight you. We all want to see the fight happen. Just make it happen. Like, I don't think, I mean, I understand the complications, but I mean, you made a point. These two Oscar and Floyd hated each other. Who else hated each other? Al Heyman and Bob. Guess what fight got made? Wilder Fury. Not once, but twice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think a lot of this, man, sometimes is really let onto the fighters, man, because I read this article where Errol Spence is like expecting, like, he made the correlation of Mayweather Pacquiao waiting, and then it made that money, so him and Crawford should do the same thing. And this is the point I made to somebody the other day. Not every fight is a mega fight. Is it concerns like let me ask you, ROD, do you think at its peak that Crawford versus Spence is going to be any bigger of a fight than De La Hoya Trinidad?
Absolutely not. And I'm gonna tell you this
No,
right now.
right? No.
I give you better. I don't even think it's gonna be bigger than Floyd and Hatton.
You're right too. You're right, and the
So,
reason is that the Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, and you mentioned. I'm glad you brought up Ricky Hatton. What did two of those three guys bring to the table?
they're international stars. So
They're
like,
international stars. Exactly, man. They brought
I'm gonna tell you
yo.
this though.
Do people realize how many people from the UK who
Came with
showed up
drums.
in Vegas when for the Floyd fight?
They bought a whole. They purchased a whole like freaking.
Literally half of Vegas was ran by the UK.
Yep. But I'm gonna tell you this though. Now, a recourse could be if they do fight, cats will recognize it, and guess what? One of them could be in position to get that money from like the guys we're
But
talking about.
but
But
that's what right.
they
They
gotta
got it
put
right.
themselves in that position, man. You don't get drafted, unless you put yourself out there, man, and people know that you like kind of can do the things that you can do, like whether it's a combine, whether it's you put in work against some good players, and they're like, yo, this guy's is a prospect, like. No one is self-proclaimed and they say, okay, we're going to draft this guy. You know what I mean? Like they've seen him somewhere or somehow. There's some people that go under the radar, but like at the end of the day, they gotta put themselves out there
Right.
some way, shape, or form. But before we go, I want to touch on something real fast, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
And I don't want people, we're obviously this world needs to heal.
Yeah.
We have COVID-19 is on halftime break right now. Racism is full front and center. Um, we got people that have lost jobs. I just read an article and I want to be sensitive to it where Train and I were talking where they're closing 400 Starbucks, and those Starbucks are now going to employ the model of a drive-through type of business model. So a lot of those employees have been sent home, which unfortunately, if you take that one employee who's trying to do the right thing and they have kids, they can't pay their rent or their mortgage, and now their loan from their landlord or wherever the case may be, they can't pay their bills because that person can't do that stuff. So
Right.
it's a domino effect. It's deeper than that. And I hope that it turns around soon. And my thoughts and prayers to anyone that has been affected by the pandemic in any way, shape, or form, whether they've been furloughed, whether they've been laid off, or whether they've had someone that passed, or whether they
Mhm.
had it and made it back. But I'm using that long introduction to say this. We watched boxing for the first time the other night, and my wife made mention of, wow, these guys are really 6 feet apart from each other when they were being interviewed. But then when I realized, man, that everybody that was in the corner had on masks, but the two fighters were in the middle without masks, and I'm just like, okay, is this thing like, is this thing for real or is it not for real? Like it led me to believe, man, like honestly, not to really like second guess it, but it just had me just kind of like thinking for a second, like, wow, there's nobody in the crowd. The commentators are 6 feet apart. Everybody in the corner has masks, but the people in the ring don't have any of this stuff going on. They're not 6 feet apart, and they don't have a mask. So I'm gonna be honest. I really scratched my head. I had a hard time really digesting that. Almost like it was castor oil, man. Like it was just. It really kind of kept me up as to saying, here's a contact sport that's kind of like a little bit intimate when you think about like how, you're very very close in proximity, and I just couldn't understand why like we have all these social distancing rules. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even with
Mhm.
mixed martial arts, and people in the corner are wearing masks. I don't care if you test positive, if you don't test positive, the corner's still wearing masks. So it just makes me wonder, why are the combatants wearing masks? And are we that? I don't know. What's your thought on it? Do you understand where I'm going with this or no?
My understanding is all the fighters, I mean, the UFC too, and with the boxers, they're being tested as far as like leading into the fight. Um,
Okay, so if that's the case, then why are you? I'm pretty sure that the coroner, it's a very simple test. I'm pretty sure the coroner would test people too, right? They would
No,
test the
they.
coroner too, right?
I think they're testing whoever the people on the. Obviously, the fighters
And I'm
are
pretty
the
sure they test the
priority.
referee too. The referee who's been in there with different people.
Yeah, I mean that's my understanding is that whoever doesn't have a mask or what have you has either been tested, has antibodies. I don't know. Like I'm with you, man. Like a lot of this is it's confusing to everybody because then the joint that you sent that we the messages we were sending each other the other day as far as just like the the WHO saying one thing, this other person saying another thing. It's just like, who do you believe? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, the thing about it,
And then you see,
the thing is, on a personal level, I mean, we had somebody, we knew somebody who passed away from it.
God bless his soul.
And so it's like I don't think it's something that is like fake or anything like that, but I think there's uncertainty from like everybody, but in the age of social media and the age of media in general, like I think more so than ever, like you just have to be like mindful of like what you're reading and like where you're getting like information from. That's like across the board, like even beyond this subject, like just because it's like you read one story and then like 20-30 minutes later you're reading something else, and then you're reading something else, and you're reading something else, and you're sitting here like, where do I go from here? I don't remember a time where you were just so uncertain about like what's going on. Like I mean, let's just at this point talk about the pandemic. And I'm somebody who's been going back, who went back to his JO, you know what I'm saying, went back to the office. And we're living in areas where there's people who rocking masks. There's people who like not wearing masks at all. It's, I don't know, man. Like we're living in like really crazy times right now. But I just think that the media has more so than any other time. And you probably would agree with this, man. Like they have a control over the public like never before.
It does, and and to your point, it was just kind of crazy just watching that fight, knowing what the media has, and no one even acknowledged the elephant in the room. Like, okay, there's no social distancing happening. Okay, neither of these guys have a mask. Okay, not only that, the everybody else is wearing masks though. So it kind of just it defeated the purpose of everything that they were saying, and it just made me wonder and scratch my head. Why do we have these fights? Why do we have boxing like start off so late? Like we could have probably had stuff happen way before all this. But I'm gonna digress. I'm just gonna sit here and just kind of get my popcorn and just kind of sit back and just look at this. But it just made me kind of think and wonder for a second as to, you know, what are we doing? What are we doing now? Now I'm starting to see a lot of things are opening up. I went out last week. I went to go get takeout. I saw people in the restaurant not wearing masks.
They're opening restaurants down here.
Yep. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I hear New Jersey and Philadelphia are about to open. So maybe this is a good thing for sports. I hear that the NBA is starting to open, going to play in Orlando.
Yep, that's what I hear.
Yep. So I'm sure hockey is going to come back and all that other stuff. But, again, I'm just saying all this because I just noticed that in the ring the other day. And it's not like, a basketball where you have like 10 you can have 13 individuals on the floor at one time, like 10 basketball players and 3 refs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or 4 refs, if you will, 14. But, these were 3 guys in the square ring, and it was just like, there were multiple times, and I'm just like, wow, man, like, this is really crazy, man, that, everybody else is wearing these masks, but they're not. But again, I'm not trying to make it a political debate. I'm not even trying to say that I do believe or don't believe. I just wanted everybody to think about that because I think there was mixed messages sent right there where because I'm going to always say, if they tested the fighters, and I'm sure they had to test the corner because you can be asymptomatic in terms of the World Health Organization. and still be positive. So I guess from my standpoint is if that point is if you tested them and they're not positive, why are they still wearing masks?
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, I
So
know.
like
Yeah.
so
I
it
agree
just
with you.
made me scratch my head yesterday and just say, "Dag, man, a lot of these people lost their jobs and were in situations and all the other stuff. And I know we lost people. You know, you lost somebody, and we've lost people who've gotten it as well. But it just made me think about what's the message that we're sending about this virus. Do we really know what's going on, or do we not? Because you had people rocking a mask in the ring outside the ring that were their trainers, but you had the combatants inside with a referee that were not. And I'm not sure that anybody else had the same thoughts either. But I just wanted to put that out there that I'm happy boxing's back, but it just made me wonder, you know, is this a test, for something that's going to be greater in the future, meaning that we can start getting back to, regularly scheduled programming? Or
Mhm.
is it really just like kind of like one of those things where it's like, you know what, God forbid something goes haywire and it's like, okay, we're just shutting down again. Like it's almost like coming back from an injury too fast and you aggravate your ankle. Now you're out even further now. So I was just trying to figure that out as I was watching this fight the other day.
The big question I think is really going to come in the fall, man, and that's really all sports. The NFL. I mean, we don't even know what's going on in Major League Baseball. And then like how I'm more interested, not so much with Top Rank, but with the PBC. And the reason I say the PBC is because they're the ones that have the deals with Fox. And Fox right now, you have to think their priority is going to be football. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in the United States, the NFL is the moneymaker. It just is. And they are going to take priority for Fox, particularly that run, the NFC. It's gonna be. I mean, it's really again a question mark because we're talking about dates. We're talking about like what pay-per-views are you gonna try to put together? Like for them. And you made a point to the people who lost jobs and things of that nature, man. Like if they want to buy a pay-per-view and they ain't working right now, and you're still trying to charge like $75-$80, man, that card better be stacked, man. you know, but
And then
it's
we
just
realized too, when you talk about fans and pay per view, the one thing we talk about, first of all, I'm sure streaming TV went up like two
oh,
2,000%. That's Yeah, that's a different story. But number two is, what else we realize? While these fights are happening, we realize how much the fans make the fights,
oh, of
which is
course.
why we have shows like this, because it's us, man, that really generate the energy for both of those combatants. We make the atmosphere. It makes the price of admission worth it.
Right.
I mean, you want to be amongst other fans, for the camaraderie, for the rivalry, and all that other stuff. But like
Mhm.
watching that fight was good the other day, but it had me scratching my head. It was good to get back to regular scheduled programming. It was bad because there was no fans and it was like a library.
Mhm.
But the other thing was it also left me scratching my head because I'm like, wow, like these guys don't have on masks. The
Mhm.
corner has mask and the referee. And it was almost like, and I'll end it like this. You stop it at a stoplight and the light in the stop and the traffic light is green, yellow, and red, and then there's a one way and there's a stop sign too. And it's like, well, what the freak is going on here?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm hoping by the fall there's some normalcy that comes up, and we get to some type of normalcy. Um, as it concerns boxing, man, I mean, I'm just very curious to see when we get like the big fights, and if at all, what big fights we're getting in 2020 or the remaining months of 2020. We'll have to wait and see, man. But at the very least, boxing is back. As we're speaking right now, recording this show, the Magdaleno Vicente fight is going to be coming on. And look, ESPN, right? I mean, Top Rank right now are the only people putting on boxing for the remainder of the month. The Miguel Burchell fights at the end of the month. Um, and from that point and going into July, man, I think the PBC and the Zone need to figure out their next course of action, man. Figure out your fights, whether it's Showtime, Fox, the Zone. the sport must go on, and other sports will continue to go on as the months come by, man. So I'm very intrigued to see what these promoters and these networks are going to do to keep boxing afloat for the remainder of the year, man. So, but that is the show, man. Our inaugural, well, official first show on Spotify. But salute to everybody. Follow us, hit the tab, just go on to Spotify, search GYGB, hit the follow. You get notifications for our new episodes. Shot the train. Hopefully we can make the next show. And that's it, man. We're gonna get interviews on here, man. We got some other people we want to bring on the show. You know, it's a big community here, and to ROD's point earlier, man, like our show, there's other shows as well. We're keeping the sport around, man, because ESPN, Fox, and these other publications, man, they don't cover it on a normal basis like how we do. So that is pretty much our show, man. Follow us at GYGB Boxing on Instagram, Facebook.com/GYG Boxing. So everybody be safe out there, and we'll be back next week. Peace.